Hello everyone, welcome back to another video with me. My name is Cotton Candy Doll. If you're new here, then welcome. Welcome all. Hi, this is a shifting video. You might hear some noises in the background and you might hear some insanely happy laughter. Now, I haven't shifted in a while because I was resting. However, I did go to see Frodo because I have to go see him every week, at least once a week. So I went to go see him, and when I was there, I established a new type of a new type of schedule for my class. I decided to do night classes um, with class A. And the reason I chose this is because a lot of the students have more disadvantages than other ones, depending on what their quirks are. So somebody like Midoriya, which I knew, I can't give anything away, but I'm just gonna jump into what happened. So when it was time for me to shift back there, I went back and I decided, so I'm gonna do these night classes every other day. So I might have some kids on one day and another group of kids on another day, and it was going to be determined based off of how well they did in my class that night, since I'll be holding a night class. Also, because I was doing night classes, I didn't want to do the classes right after school. I needed the kids to go home first, rest up, get used to being out of school for a while, and then come back at like 6 o'clock. Because there they get out at like 3, so they get home, they get like 2 hours, whatever, they come back. So my class starts at like 6:30 and it ends at 7:30. It's only an hour. My first exercise was the triangle. Triangle is basically like what they do when they get ready to fight. Like this is what like boxers use and like MMA. They have like sort of a triangle. And the average athlete, they do about 2 to 3 minutes, but I had them do 5 minutes because they're supposed to be training against like villains or whatever. And so I tested out all the kids to see how all of them were doing. And I look over in the corner and Bakugo is like puking. And so I went over to Bakugo and I gave him a Fountain Go drink. Fountain Go is basically their version of Gatorade. I explained to Toshinori what the type of drink I needed. I didn't tell him what Gatorade was because he doesn't actually know what Gatorade is. Or he could know and just not be telling me. But Fountain Go is basically like a Gatorade drink. So I basically just got like, I guess it's like a normal flavor. It was like everywhere the normal flavor for like Gatorade is like lime. Powerade is like lime or lemon. That's like the main. I just got that. So I had a bunch of those in my class, and I didn't have them training in the gym. I also didn't want them to train outside because I feel like outside's too dangerous for nighttime. I don't care how old the kids are. They're not grown-ups yet. So I didn't feel comfortable training with them outside. I wanted them to train in a classroom. So I was moved out of that small detention room at the end of the hall into this other big room in the middle of the hallway. It was almost kind of like an auditorium, but I did want them to actually I did want us to have a class space where we could sit down. So I basically ended up with 2 rooms. So the rooms are connected to each other. So you walk like through one room and you have a classroom, and the other bigger room is kind of like a gymnasium, except the floor is like carpet. So I had so up front of that room, like in the very corner against the wall, there are these benches about this big and they're like brown and basically like wooden benches for them to sit on. But it's not really made for you to sit there for very long. I guess that's why they kind of made them like really uncomfortable. Because even I sat there for a second, I'm like, oh, this isn't really a good rest place, but I guess this is not where you would go to rest. You would actually leave out of this room and go to the run behind you, which is the other room. So all the kids are training, all of class A, everybody. So I got Bakugo in there, and I gave him the. Oh, I didn't even tell you guys what happened. So yeah, I did have him do the triangle. Bakugo nearly died. Midoriya was fine. He was still doing the exercise even after I asked him to stop. And the thing is, I knew Midoriya would thrive because he's more of he has to push himself on a physical level to move further along because he's obviously following in All Might's footsteps. Whereas the Bakugo is just used to using all of he's used to using his energy in a way that he can move himself around without using so much physical ability. But what I had him do was physical. There wasn't anything involved. I had the same thing with Ida. I told Ida, no no jets this time. You're just gonna use your legs how they are. You're not gonna use any of it. He said, okay, so everybody basically was focusing on their physical. Let's see, Sue had no problem with it. She was actually really good. Mina had no problem with it. Asido, um, Kaminari, he had like a little bit of a problem, but not really, because he was actually used to like running, I guess. And then I had, gosh, what the heck's her name? The one with the ear jacks. She was having a lot of trouble with like keeping up, but I was making them do 5 minutes, and it was really hard. So afterwards, I said, okay, so next we're going to do 100 suicides across the room. I showed them an example. I ran and did it, and I showed them, run to this side of the room, you jump up, and then you go to the other side. I showed them, that's so you run to one end of the room, and then you run to the other end, and that's one. That's one suicide. I wanted 100 of those. So they're doing this within like close to a 90-minute time frame. So my class is a little bit over an hour. It's not exactly over at 7:30. It's closer to 8 o'clock, which means when the kids go home, they obviously have to crash like right after. So I'm in the classroom. I'm noticing everyone in there. Togoyami did not go. He did not want to come to the night class. I think he was afraid of the whole shadow thing happening. I told him, if he changed his mind, he can come back and see me. I had what is his name? What is that guy's name with the tail? He was trying to do a lot of his stuff with that, and I told him, when you have to deal with a lot of physical stuff, it's going to be really good for you to have. So I need you to build up your endurance, because that's what I needed. Because you guys can take a hit. I told him that you can take a hit. It's the endurance that'll kill you. So, and I know because I've been in fights. Like I fought professionally before, and if you guys haven't noticed, yeah, I did. I have fought professionally before, so I know what I'm doing with training. And so I basically have to become like the lady from like the main antagonist from the Queen's Classroom. I don't know if you guys ever seen that. It's uh it's a Korean drama. Before that it was a Japanese drama. But basically I decided to become like the devil, like a devil teacher. So everyone has to work together to try and make it through my class. So they have no choice but to work as a team. Because, I don't know, I just feel like if I do it this way, they'll learn together to work together if they see me as the villain. By the time everybody left out of my class, they all kind of was like hating me. I know it. And I told them, I said, if you guys come back to my class, it means that you've made it and you've endured. I'm very proud of you. And they were all leaving out, and I was handing them their drinks. And Bakugo was still like, you know, gagging and whatever. And I said, you'll be fine. Go home and get some rest. So he left. He was like mad. Who else stormed out of there? Um, I had a bunch of kids storm out of there. Oh, I saw Minetta. Um, yeah, so Minetta's a cute little thing. He's cute. He was really trying hard, but I could see him. He was there. He was like really dying over there. And then he said, because I can use my quirk and I can use it like, he kept saying he uses like a rock climbing wall. Like he could put them up and then have everybody sort of rock climb to get to where he needs to go. And I kind of did like this because I came up with an idea. So next time I think I'll make like an obstacle course in that huge room and have all the kids do it within under 15 minutes. Like the idea is to make them suffer, not to kill them, but they have to rely on each other to get what they want. They won't be able to do it. I really want to do a lot of trust exercises with them. I want to do a lot of team building exercises with them to kind of like bring them closer together. Even kids who aren't really that used to working with each other, I want to pull them together. That's my goal. So I decided to establish that first. So all the kids were leaving out of my class, and then I said, before you guys leave, let me take an attendance. Let me see who all came. That way, I'll keep you guys marked for next time, and I'll say like, that way I can say like, this person came to my class twice. This person's been here 3 times, and I can kind of keep like a chart of like their progress. I already had like columns and rows of their name written on like a separate sheet because I worked really hard, guys. I made like a graph. It had like their faces and everything on it, right? And so I'm going through my list, And I noticed there's kids missing. What would you know? There's kids missing out of my room. They either escaped from me while I was in the middle of doing the lessons, or they decided the class was too hard and they ran off. And I knew first off, it wasn't Bakugo and it wasn't Midoriya. Those are usually the main two who run off. They're usually like in some kind of weird confrontation with each other, but it wasn't them. What is her name? The earjack girl. Her. She was. I saw her in my class, but I guess at some point she decided to bail on me and the kid with all the arms. So I'm like, okay, well, where did they go? And I'm like, everybody stay put. Nobody leave yet. And they're like, oh, come on. I'm like, nope, we got to find your friends. So I'm going to keep you guys in here. Just stay in this room. Don't leave. So I left out of the room and I locked the door because I locked all the kids in there because I figured if I leave, if I have to leave my kids here, I have to lock them in, not only to keep them safe. Could I have called Toshinori or Keiko to come in there and watch over them, or Endeavor? Yes. Did I choose to? No. Because this was my issue because I have to keep track of this. They're still kids. So I'm like, maybe he went to the bathroom, and he just didn't say anything. So I checked the boys' bathroom. First I knocked. I was like, hello, is anybody in here? Then I walked around, couldn't find anybody. And the thing is, even though the school was dark because it was like nighttime, the lights and everything were still on. So I'm wandering around the school, I'm looking, and then next you know, I hear like a thunderstorm. And I go, great, I need to let the kids leave soon, but I got to find these other two kids that are missing. So then I get on the intercom. I come up with the smart idea of getting on like the intercom in the office and saying, my other two students, I call out their names and I said, you guys need to come back to the class. That way everyone is able to leave. Until you come back to the class, no one is able to leave. So I made the announcement and I waited. And then no one came back. So I said, okay, well, shit. So now I'm getting a little bit worried because in any situation, whenever there's a child missing, I don't care that they're older kids. This is a kid missing. And I gotta think, I mean, if I was a parent and I let my kid, sorry guys, I'm getting stuff in my eye. If I was a parent, I don't care how old Frodo gets. Don't lose my kid. Period. So I'm wandering through and I'm like, they gotta be hiding somewhere. Are they hiding together? Are they in a relationship together? What's going on here? And I'm like, they're not really allowed to do that, in the school. If they are trying to be together, like romantically, it can't be on school grounds. Like I can't allow that to happen. So I'm searching all the rooms frantically. And so I go back to my classroom, I open the door, and they're in there, sitting down. And they're like, I'm like, so everyone's here. And Midoriya's like, yes, everyone's been here this whole time. And I'm like, Midoriya. He's like, yes, Miss Cotton Candy. I'm like, they were not here. He's like, yeah, they were. Right, guys? Weren't they all here? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, you guys are playing games with me. And I go, okay, well, I guess I'll see all of you tomorrow. So they get ready to leave out the door. And once again, you hear the boom, thunder, boom. And then the power goes out. So I'm guessing lightning hit something. So I'm like, everybody stay calm. We're going to be just fine. And Oyama decides, you know what, I'm going to use my light to light up the room. So he lit up the room. And I was like, I need to find like a circuit breaker. So I'm searching the drawers. I'm trying to like look for like a flashlight. Why aren't there any flashlights anywhere? I don't know. So I'm like, stay here. And they're like, we really want to go home. And I'm like, but it's storming out there right now. Nobody can leave. And I'm like, damn it, I'm like, what kind of situation is this? I've never even gone over what to do if something like this happens with kids in the school. That's what I get for having a night class. But at the same time, I don't want to stop doing my night class. I wanted to continue on because I have to. So I'm like walking down the hallway. I hear a noise coming from a room. I go in there. It's just, even though I can't see. And, I see someone standing in a corner. So then I like back out of the way. And they get closer to the doorway. And it's Toshinori. And Toshinori is like, cotton candy's off. He's like, you okay? I'm like, yeah. He's like, I heard something. I heard a loud noise and I came to the school. I was like, the power is out. And he's like, I have a flashlight right here. He's doing like this. He's like playing with the flashlight. And I'm like, okay. I was like, well, let's let all the kids, let's lead all of them out of here so they can go home. And he's like, there's actually a section of the building that leads to their dorms. I'm like, oh, I actually forgot they had dorms. So he's like, I'll tell them what to do. You stay here. And I was like, I'll go with you. He said, no, just stay in this room. So then I'm standing there. I got the flashlight in my hand. I'm like, why am I standing here again? I said, you know what? No, I'm going to follow him because it's my class. So I start walking behind him. He's like, what are you doing? I go, I'm following you to the class. So we get there. The kids are waiting inside, like I told them. Well, everyone's there. Everyone's accounted for. Toshinori leads them. He's like, go that way. Everybody follow me. And Oyama keeps shining his light. And then the power comes back on. So they get to where the end of the hallway is. And so the way it is there's a turn. It's so weird. The turn kind of wraps around. It almost kind of reminds you of like a circle if you're walking around in the circle. But then it connects into like a hall. So you're walking down the hallway, and he's like, I'm escorting you guys here to make sure that it's safe. And whenever you escort kids, one person's in the front. If the adult's in the front, there's one in the front, and there's one in the back. That way I can keep an eye on any stragglers who may I don't know, wander out of the line. Unless they have a mind of their own. They'll just do whatever they want. I had that problem even when I worked as a preschool teacher. There was a lot of kids who would just wander off, but it was cute because they were like 2. But these are older kids, so. Everyone made it into like the entrance to like where their rooms were. I didn't go any further. I stopped there in Toshinori, just like, okay, everybody, good night. Go right to bed. Tomorrow's an early day. Well, that was he was like, well, that was interesting, wasn't it? That was fulfilling. And I'm just like, fulfilling in what way? He's like, are you tired? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, let's go back. So I'm walking, and I waited until we got back around the corner, like around the circle thingy, and then I kind of leaned my head on him, and he's like this. He's letting me lean on him. And then he's like, I'm just walking with him, and I'm walking back into the building, and the power goes out again. And so, like, I turn the flashlight back on. We're walking toward the classroom, and so then he leads me into this room. And I'm like, whose room are we in? He's like, I don't care. So we start making out in there. He starts like kissing me, starts touching me everywhere. And, I feel like I'm going to get lucky. And I'm just like, Toshinori, is this right to do right here? And he's like, do you think I care about if this is right or wrong? So yeah, so then, it was still storming out. So then Toshinori is like kissing on me and stuff. I was kissing on him. Then I took his shirt off. Then he took mine off. And then, because I was dressed in my teacher attire, it's just basically like a button shirt and like a skirt, just to try to look like a professional teacher or whatever. And it wasn't raining earlier that day, so there was no reason for me to wear boots or anything. So I had that on. He was removing that. He was removing my bra, and then he removed the panties too. And then he started kissing me, and he started running his tongue up to my nipples, and he started sucking me, and then he went in and he like penetrated me. So then he had me up against the wall. And he's like in me, and I'm like yelling. and then the power, and then the power comes back on, and then like, so the room is lit up, and you can see like, so across from us is like the students' dorms. You can see like the lights on, but I don't know that we were too close or too far away. I have no idea. But you could definitely see us if the lights were on. And if someone looked out the window, they could see what we're doing. I was like, Toshinori, wait. And he's like, what? You want me to stop? And I'm like, no, I don't want you to stop. I'm like, but the kids could probably see us. And I say it really loud. And he's like, okay, okay, okay. He goes, come on. He goes, I'm like, what are you doing? So then, like, it's weird because, like, it was like, you know how when you're up against the wall and you kind of like melt down? So, like, he was like, just follow my lead. And he kind of like, so he got on his knees and then, like, but I was like sitting on him and he's like, okay. He's like, if we go out like this. So then, like, I was crawling on the floor and he was like crawling behind me. So we were like in the hallway. Oh my gosh. So we're crawling on the floor. And we go past Principal Nezu's office and I hear somebody talking. So we're like, crap. So we run into a different room and we hide in there. So we're hiding in this empty room. We have the lights off. We're hoping we don't get caught because suddenly, someone's in the building. I was told after, I was told at night no one stays in the building. Everyone usually goes home. I'm thinking it must have been Principal Nezu. It had to. I still don't know who it is because I didn't get to see. Because Toshinori, obviously, he devoured me in that other room. He didn't care. He just knew that we were out of sight and he wanted to finish what he started. I had the best, the very best. Like I could not help it. And and then he was like nibbling on my ear, and I'm like, Toshinori, like stop it, like let's at least go to your house or something, or. And then he's like, you know what, this isn't the right place. I'm like, exactly, but you already, like, we already did it. So what's the point now of saying this isn't a good place? Obviously, you knew that. I knew that. So it's like, the whole time I was honestly, I was excited, but I was nervous. I didn't want to get caught by a student. I didn't want someone to run back and accidentally forget something. And I also don't know, someone could have secretly seen us and we don't even know it. Like, I have no idea. So, I mean, I came back here, but I'm just like, I haven't had that much fun in a long time with Toshinori, like us being inside of a school. We sort of stopped all that earlier on because it was causing a lot of problems before with, like, just everything I was doing. Him trying to drug me. Remember, I had his, yeah, I had Toshinori's underwear, like his boxers, in my freaking pocket that one time. And I remember they fell out or something. I couldn't see. Like, all this crazy stuff that happened before when, like, we were in the school trying to like do it or whatever. Like, I thought he decided nay to that. Like, no, we're not gonna do that anymore. So I don't know. I mean, I did have a lot of fun, but that was my Stormy night with him. And um, I already know Midoriya is gonna be my favorite kid in that class. He works so hard. He pushes himself so hard. Don't get me wrong. Even though I'm gonna be like the devil, I'm not gonna mistreat any of the kids. If anything, Mr. Aizawa abuses them with his scarf. Like, you can't wrap up somebody's arms and legs with your freaking scarf. That's basically like bondage, right? You can't do that to those kids. I'm sorry. You can't. All I did was lock them in a room, but at least they were all together. At least they could have gotten out if they wanted. They're old enough to open the door. So, but I had a lot of fun the last time I went back. So, yeah, I did shift back here. My dad came and got me. I did want to talk to you guys about something though that I'm working on. As you guys know, I am trying to, work on my own project, but I'm doing something else too. I don't know how you guys feel about this, but I wanted to state my opinion because, and this has nothing to do with shifting anymore. That part is over. So if you don't want to watch any more of the video, you don't have to. I have joined the fight against Asian hate. Yes, I have joined the fight against Asian hate crimes because a lot of these Asian people, Asian American people, are being attacked just because they're Asian, as if like they can choose how they were born. The reason I'm getting involved is because, okay, I'm going to tell you guys a story. All right, I'm going to tell you something that happened. I have, amongst other reasons, I have a best friend who's also Chinese. She went back home to China. She's safe there. She hasn't been back here since, and I'm thinking the reason she's staying away is because of all the hate that's happening here. I don't want anything to happen to her. I have a lot of Chinese friends too that are here. I have a lot of other Asian friends. I studied Korean for years, learning how to read and write, and I just love the Asian culture. And so I feel like it's not really fair that they're being treated this way because they live here. And the thing is, they actually earn the right to be here. You can't just come over here and decide to become a citizen. There are steps you must take before you can be an American. Just like I couldn't go over to China and just automatically say, okay, I want to be a Chinese citizen. I'm going to be here. Think about if you're a tourist. Say you want an all expense paid trip to Europe for like a week's vacation. The first 3 days you're going to get like a cruise or something, and then you get to stay in a hotel and they're going to pay for everything. You go there and people are like, someone looks at you and they say, they tell you to go back to like your own country or to like Africa or something. And you're like, the first thing you're going to think is, why would they say that to me? I earned the right to be here. I won this trip. And these people who become, you know, any foreigner who comes here and becomes a citizen, they earned the right to be here because they had to go through a lot just to get their citizenship. I know because I knew people who had their green cards, who didn't have their citizenship here, and they didn't have their citizenship here, and they came here and got it after like years, or it took them such a long time to get it. Even my friend who had been working here all this time, she had a work visa. She wasn't able to stay here because she was not a citizen. Sorry, guys. um. So first, there's that. Okay. Also, the person, if I went to Europe and they told me to like go back to Africa, I would just tell them, I'm not even an African citizen. And if I went there claiming to be like African or saying, first off, they would look at me and they would say, "You're not one of us anyway, and you'll never be one of us." Kind of like the Lion King too. He is not one of us. He'll never be one of us. Kind of like that, because like they're not gonna look at me. They're gonna look at me and say, she's not. So I'm not one of them. I'm actually American. So if anything, at least they'll get that part right. Then my nationality. So this is the story that I want to tell you guys. Once upon a time, about 7 years ago, when I lived back home, my nephew, who was 18 years old at the time, was sitting at home. And I asked him, I said, because during that time I had an Asian boyfriend. I had a Korean boyfriend. And yeah, I had a boyfriend in this reality. Can you believe it, guys? This guy came before Toshinori and Keigo and all them. Anyway, so sitting at home, and I asked him, if you ever saw some type of crime going on, if you ever saw some type of hate, would you stop it? Would you step in? He looked at me and he said, no. I said, why? He said, because those are not my people, and I feel like it's none of my business. I should not step into a fight that isn't mine. I said, but if they're doing this because they hate this person or they don't like this person's race, you wouldn't stop them. And he said, no, it's not my problem, it's their problem. And I looked at him and I said, it's everybody's problem. It's not just my problem, because it's all of our problems, because we're all one people. And he said, whatever, I'm not any of those people. And I said, okay. Fast forwarded into the future. Okay, about 5 years later, he called me. My nephew called me. He was really excited because I'm like, what's happening here? He's like, I'm going to give birth soon. And I'm like, I didn't know you were pregnant. And, he said he's having a baby daughter. So I went to see this child, and they handed me this beautiful little girl who looked exactly like him. She had his face, but she didn't have his hair, and she didn't have his dark skin. Because obviously this was an Asian baby. So then I looked at him and I said, so several years ago, before when I was asking you about, defending, the Asian Americans, I said, I mean, I know you would do anything to protect this child, wouldn't you? I'm like, I hope you would do anything to protect her now that she is your people, and then he stops and he looks at me and he goes, his eyes just grew so wide. And he goes, oh my God. He's like, you tried to tell me. I was like, do you remember what I told you? And he said, yes. You told me that we're all one people. Right, because you can't choose who you fall in love with. You can fall in love with someone who is not your own race. You could say, I'm going to only love my own race. And then things don't always turn out that way. I didn't plan on, I didn't plan on, falling head over heels for someone, someone Asian, just like someone black doesn't, plan on falling head over heels, or someone white doesn't plan on falling head over heels. You don't know who you're going to fall in love with. And so now that so I saw her and I continue to watch her grow. And the baby, she's beautiful. And this child is just an Asian child. And actually I started a GoFundMe page. I'll leave the link in the description. But I'm starting a group called Guardian Angels. And our job is basically patrol the area. I'm going to put up cameras around. That way anyone who commits a crime, anyone trying to run away, anyone who's trying to hurt someone, not only will we be able to see like a clear picture of them, but the guardian angels will be there to also stop it from happening. And so my job is, I feel like this is kind of my calling. Now, right now it is guardian angels. I'm starting that. It is for my Asian American friends. However, it won't just be available to them. If someone else needs a guardian angel, someone to watch over them, then they can have that as well. So I'm really looking forward to trying this out. I really would like help from people volunteering. I would like to gather followers, people who want to work toward this cause. I also want to help get, anyone who could fund me or help me, that's great. Regardless of whether this plan it goes afloat because of help from others, I'm still going to make this happen, even if I have to do it myself with just me. Even if I have to be the sole proprietorship to this and just let it ride off my other ideas and my other my other programs and things I have lined up, because this is not the only project I'm working on. But in this reality, this is the thing that's keeping me busy. Honestly, it made me so angry to see more crimes happening and, seeing all these people comments and seeing what they were saying and watching these news press conferences where they're like, we're going to put a stop to it. We're going to do something about it. And no one's really doing anything about it. Everyone's kind of just, there is a group called Asians with Attitude, AWAL or whatever. I think that's what they're called. I looked at what they're doing. I thought theirs was pretty cool. I feel like it's gonna take a lot to stop this. This is not something that's gonna go away overnight. Just like in the olden days, the slavery thing has been around for a long time. There's been a lot of hate between, or bad blood between white and black, whatever you want to call it. Okay, that is something very old. It's not something new. Something that old is really hard to stop. The Asian hate has been going around for a really long time. But the thing I can say about this is that a lot of the black people, a lot of, black or African American, I just call them black people. Yeah, they're getting killed. They're getting killed a lot from like the cops, because the cops will just shoot you. Like a lot of the times, all of my scenarios are, if I do something wrong or I trespass, they're gonna call the cops, and immediately I'm gonna get shot as soon as they get there. And a lot of people look at me and they're like, "No, you're not." I'm like, "They don't know me. Of course they're gonna shoot someone they don't know. You don't know if I'm a threat or not. All they know is that my skin is dark." and that I'm a threat automatically. So I might get shot. I just know that. I think if people put that mindset into everyone's head, people will start to calm down a little more. Even though the cops are killing a lot of black people on the street, at least they're not being attacked by civilians on the street. At least they're not being attacked just walking down the street. This is something completely different. And I'm just surprised that people are allowing this to happen, that the government is allowing this to happen. So I really want to put a stop to it because I really do love the Asian culture. And I don't want to see any more people get hurt that don't have to be. And the people doing these attacks are ignorant. And they basically will do anything they're told, probably. They're probably like a yes person. Like, they just agree to anything. Like, they don't have an opinion of their own, so they can't think for themselves. You know, they might hate someone because of what someone said. So they decide they hate that. You know, I hate this person. Oh, I hate them too. And it's like, why do you hate them? And they don't have an answer. They just saying they hate them because you hate them. That is a yes person. Someone who's just followed. Someone who will do anything without being able to think because they don't have that, they can't rationalize anything. So I definitely want to do something to stop this. Please join me in this fight. Thank you guys for watching my video. Thank you if you listened to me rabble on about this. If you like this video, please just give this video a like. And if you hated it, you know what to do. Also, don't forget to hit the notification bell. That way you're notified if other videos like this one become available. Ding! Also, I'll let you know how my project is going. I'll continue to talk about it in my videos, but I am going to talk about my shifts first. That way, when I'm done talking about it, if you don't want to hear any more about that, if you're against it, that's fine. You can just click the video off. But I am going to fight for... I'm going to fight to make a change because I want to change the world one step at a time. It's going to start here. So yes, guardian angels, if you feel like you want them, their help, if you need help with something, if you want, if you feel like you're in danger or you could be under attack, then you can, you'll be able to reach out and I'll be able to have these people come out and help. So that's my goal. My deadline for this, I'm trying to give this until the end of June. And I'm trying to reach $500,000, which is 500 grand, because I'm going to need this money to pay the retired military money, because those are the people I'll be hiring. I need to hire professional people who've had experience dealing with terrorists, because these people are basically terrorists. So I have to, I don't know. I feel like this sort of thing should be hit hard. This is not something that needs to be ignored. And I'm not going to ignore it, so I have to do something. Not only do I have Asian friends, but now I have an Asian niece. And I think I have a picture of her. I can show you guys. It's a pretty baby. I don't know if you guys can see. Can you guys see her? Isn't she gorgeous? Yes, that is my niece. And her name is May May. I don't know if you can see her. I don't know if you can or not, but anyway. Isn't she gorgeous? Anyway, I have more pictures of her. My pictures when she was first born and stuff. So yeah. I can no longer sit around and do nothing about it. I have to do something. And I'm going to do something to improve it. And I have to do something that works, because I'm not sure how long or how much these efforts are going to work. Wasn't I supposed to end this video? Oh yeah. Guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in my next video, which might be soon. I do have to go back. I have to go back to my hero because I need to figure out what days I want to do my classes. Who I want to Who I want to keep. I'm thinking Midoriya's definitely staying in my class. I'm definitely pulling back the guy with the arms. Um, the girl with the ear jacks. What's her name? Her Bakugo might need to not. Bakugo might need to come back later. I might separate him from the class with Midoriya and the other in Mr. Kaminari because um, even though they like work closely together at Hiroshima, I don't know. He's on a different level from them. He's not used to using a lot of physical stuff. He's mostly used to using all his power, and so I need to build up his endurance a little bit more. So I have to figure out how I want to separate these kids and how I want to torture them, but not in a way that's going to hurt them though. Just yeah, I know I had a lot to talk about today, didn't I? Did you guys like talking to me today? Did you like my pictures of my Did you guys like the pictures of my little niece? I know. Anyway, I'll see you guys in my next video. Thanks for watching, everybody. Bye.